Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
Hello out there. This is Ben Dickerson, your co-host, New York Giants fan. The draft is upon us. It is Wednesday as we speak, and the draft is tomorrow night. I cannot wait. Let's go.
Man, it is amazing how much energy has been expended theorizing about what's going to happen. It's called mock drafts.
Theorizing is a good word, brother, because there's folks out there that'll tell you in a second, this whole thing is a crapshoot. Some people say the first round's a crapshoot. Some people say the entire NFL draft is a crapshoot.
Thank you, because we are going to be looking into the crapshoot concept of the draft in this show. We're going to actually look at it numerically. We're going to look at hits, misses, and you know what I mean? We're going to look at my Niners. They just made some crazy moves. Doesn't make sense. We're going to look at when you give up a future draft pick, especially a first round draft pick where you could potentially get a quarterback. What does that say about what you think about next year's quarterbacks? Because obviously this year's quarterback is one thing, and we're going to talk about that. What's going on next year? Who's coming out in 2022? So we're going to look a little bit at that. And we're going to talk about how NFL teams value draft picks. Now, what you just said is it's a crapshoot. So they're putting value on things, and the question is, are they getting their value worth? We're going to take a look at that. So a lot of stuff to talk about. You like my new background, Benny? I'm in the midst of it. There's even people in the stands.
It's nice.
I got people in the stands, much less. So, all right. Let's get ready to take a look at how this whole thing kind of got me upset. And this is an article that took a look at the draft capital gain and loss from the trades between the Eagles, Dolphins, and 49ers on March 26. Now, you got your Giant stuff on, and you know, Niner fan here to the death. But the Niners spent a lot of capital to move up to the third pick. Now, as you look at this chart, you have the three teams involved, the Dolphins, the Eagles, and the 49ers. You have a list of the picks that were acquired. Now, in some cases where you don't have a specific pick number, you'll see future. And that kind of means that the actual number will be kind of determined by the success or failure of that season. A poor season means a higher pick, and a good season means a lower pick. But they have a value, kind of an intermediate value that they've assigned to those, since they don't know the actual pick number. And so you can see that the Dolphins acquired a 6th pick, the 156th pick, two future ones, and a future 3. And the 6 has a value acquired number of 59.39. The 156th pick has a value of 2. So you can see there's an exponential difference in the value as you move down the pick number. They have, again, averaged it out for the futures where you don't know the pick. So future ones were assigned a value of 43.24 and the future 3 of 12.84. So they gave up, that's what they got. Now they gave up a third pick at 72.41 was the value that they gave up. They gave up a 123rd pick, which was 4.96, and a future one, which again, they used the average of 43.24. So if you look at what they acquired and you look at what they gave up, they are a net positive 40.14. So we're going to talk about how coaches and GMs look at these draft picks in terms of having a value when they start to do their negotiation, their quote, horse trading, as we talk about. Now, the Eagles in this situation got a 12th pick, they got a 123rd pick, and they got a future first round pick. Their value was 48.8, 44.96 for the 123rd, and 43.24 again. The futures were average. They lost a 6th pick, which showed up there on the Dolphins acquired list at 59.39. And as you can see, the Dolphins, that's what they acquired. And the 156th pick, again, that went to the Dolphins, that's that 204. So they gave up those two, but they acquired the 12th, the 123rd, and a future first rounder with a net positive value of 35.57. Now, my 49ers had acquired the 3rd pick of the draft from the Dolphins. They gave up the 12th pick, 2 future first round picks, and a future 3rd round pick. Averaging those numbers out, the future ones again 43.24 and the future 3 12.84, showing that the net value was a minus 75.71. So the Dolphins came out net positive, the Eagles came out net positive, the Niners came out net negative. They really wanted to move up to that 3rd spot. And the question then is, did they overspend? And who in this draft is worth spending that much for? That's the question. Who, if you're looking at your top 5, your top 10, who is worth giving up all of that for? What do you think, Mr. Dickerson?
Well, first of all, obviously on the surface, the Dolphins won when it came to this trade. The Eagles made out pretty well when it came to this trade because they were able to move to where they wanted to move to, according to who they had on their board and who they felt they could acquire at the 12th pick overall. The 123rd pick overall also is not going to be a bad picker. Now, a bad pick is not as bad as the 156 overall. So they actually moved down in the 1st round and they moved up in a future round, and they acquired a future number 1. So it's a good trade for the Eagles too. Now we're just talking about value, of course. We can't really establish a winner or a loser here until the picks are actually made and the players actually play, and we see how they produce for their teams. That being said, we look at the 49ers, who gave up quite a bit of draft capital to move up to the 3rd pick overall. Right now, that big red square with the minus 75.71 in it looks bad. But whoever they choose, that will determine whether or not it was a good trade or not, or whether or not the guy was worth it. Now, some folks will probably tell you that nobody's worth that much. No one player who has never put on an NFL helmet is worth 3 picks, 2 of them being number 1s, and the 12th pick overall, which the Dolphins immediately got rid of to the Eagles, by the way. So, to me, this was a huge, huge move by the 49ers. This move is not only just huge for the 49ers, but this move at the number 3 pick in the draft could set the stage for multiple moves being made after they make their pick. This move, it could determine a whole bunch of other things happening in the first round for a whole bunch of other teams. And the teams should be ready because they understand that although Jacksonville's pick is pretty much set in stone, the Jets pick is pretty much set in stone. Word on the street is that the 49ers, a day before the draft, may or may not even be sure who they're going to take with that pick. So, this is crazy. Everybody's on standby. There's some teams that pretty much know I should be able to get my guy where I'm picking, or this guy should fall to me if they take him, but it might not happen if they take him. So if they take him, I'm going to need to make a move. There will be draft day trades. I predict there will be draft day trades. And you're going to see a lot of stuff happening in war rooms after the 49ers make their pick at number 3 overall.
So again, we're talking about value. One of the news items that came out today was that the Carolina Panthers traded Teddy Bridgewater to the Denver Broncos for a 6th round, the actual number 191st pick. And the Panthers held on to about $7 million of his salary under their cap. Teddy Bridgewater for a 6th round pick. And the Niners just gave up 2 future 1st round picks and all of the capital that they gave up for potentially either Trey Lance, Matt Jones,
or
Justin Fields. And when you look at either one of those 3 guys, even just referencing them to Teddy Bridgewater, especially when Teddy first came out, we know with Teddy, his value is depreciated. He had an injury, things of that nature. So we understand that. But a 6th round for Teddy? We thought Teddy might be able to take the Panthers to the playoffs last year. He looked really good with the Saints.
That's true. But the Teddy Bridgewater we saw that filled in for Drew Brees with the Saints, and the Teddy Bridgewater that we saw that was handed the starting job with the Panthers is not the same guy. Okay, depreciate's a good word, and it happened fast. The guy darn near fell off a cliff. But he's a veteran. He's smart. He's proven he can learn a system quickly. Okay, and the Panthers pretty much didn't want him. When a team trades a quarterback for a 6th round pick, that means they don't want him anymore. They don't want him anymore.
So they've devalued him to that point. And I just thought it's a stark contrast to the value that my Niners are putting on a future pick, okay, a draft pick, someone who's never played in the NFL. And it just kind of shows how that value is calculated in some of their minds. And I just thought that was a stark contrast. So you're right. We don't know what the return on that investment is going to be. It's almost like something like with Bitcoin. I'm a very conservative person. I didn't jump on Bitcoin in the beginning, and I'm real hesitant to jump on it at in the $50,000 per Bitcoin range, especially for something that's already speculative. Let's look at another post. And again, I want to remind people, this is Ben and Barry on football. The subject matter that we discuss is generally posted on our Facebook page, facebook.com/BNBOF. And you can always go there, and we really welcome and encourage people to leave us some comments. And I want to give a shout out to my nephew, Mark Coles, who is never short of a comment. And he made sure that he commented on something else that we talked about. But these are the things that create discussion. We don't expect everyone to agree with us, but we were trying to bring some different ways of looking at some things, which is why we want to really look at this value. Tomorrow is the draft, the 2021 draft. Let me just mention Thursday, April 21st, 8 p.m. It's going to be on NFL Network, ABC, ESPN, and ESPN Deportes. I think I'm saying that correct. Then on Friday at 7 p.m. and then at Saturday at noon. So it's a 3-day event, and so much is put into this. Now, for example, you have your mock drafts. We're going to go into your mock draft then. Let's do this piece first on the hit, miss, or meh, to talk about the crapshoot, because you brought up crapshoot in it. So what we're talking about is a piece that came out on YouTube that I took a look at. And they pretty much examined the success of the 2017 draft. And it's a good date to go back to because that's about 5 years. 2022 would be 5 years exactly. And right now, for most of those draftees, they are finishing up the fourth year of their rookie contract and are facing potentially getting that fifth year option or getting a long-term deal or getting moved out. They're not even on the team. And so this is called hit, miss, or meh, you know, for every first, these are all first round draft picks, 1 through 32. Now, I'm not going to show this whole video. This is like a 20-minute video. You can find this on YouTube. But what I am going to do is I'm going to share the numbers of what were the hits, misses, and meh. So in 2017, here are your picks. And I put the information already at the top so you can see. There were 12 hits. That's a .375. That's about a 37.5% success rate. The misses were .313 and the meh were also 313. So between the misses and the mess, you had about 60% of your picks, that a little over 60%, that really didn't pan out for what you might think a first round pick would give you in terms of your team. So the pick number 1, 2017, was Myles Garrett. There was no doubt in the video overview that he was a hit. What do you think about that?
No doubt about it. He's a hit.
He's a hit. No doubt about it. All right. Mitchell Trubisky was the second pick of the draft. They have him listed as a miss.
I've seen some talk of him being a meh, but yeah, I call him a miss.
The interesting thing about Mitchell, especially relative to what we talked about with my Niners, is that apparently the Bears moved up to get him, bypassing a few people that you'll see that got picked a little bit later.
And that's why he's probably being considered a miss, because they actually moved up to get him. And the players that were picked after him at the same position were not only good, they were really good. So that contributed to him being a miss.
The third pick was by my Niners, where they got Solomon Thomas. They consider him a miss. Now, Solomon Thomas is still there.
Big time miss.
I don't know if they were saying the thing about Solomon Thomas was that he was a classic tweener. I guess he wasn't big enough to be in the middle and not, fast enough to be on the edge. But okay, a miss. So that's the number 3 pick in the draft, and you're saying that's a miss.
Yes.
The number 4 pick, Leonard Fournette. Now, the interesting thing that they said about him was, again, first of all, meh, right? Until last year, where he was a big part of helping the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the Super Bowl. But that wasn't value that was returned to the Jaguars who originally drafted him.
No, considering his number 4 pick overall, the number 4 pick overall, no, he's a meh.
Isn't this crazy? I mean, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, the 4th pick. Let's go down to the 5th pick real quick. Corey Davis, Titans, right?
Correct.
Meh. So you've got in your first 5 picks, 1 hit.
Now, let me just say something about Corey Davis really quick. Corey Davis is a meh. I'll agree with that. He's nowhere near a miss. Corey Davis had his best season this past season, and it was a really, really productive season. So I like Corey Davis, and I like his future.
And Corey Davis would be at the end of his rookie contract.
Right. He's ready to get paid.
So it's good that he had a good year, but when you look at his 5-year stats, I think that might hold it down a little bit in terms of his value. That's where the meh comes in. All right, number 6, Jamal Adams, I guess I should say. Number 6 pick overall, a hit.
No doubt about it, a hit. Even on a bad team when he was with the Jets, he was a hit. Went to the Seahawks and held up his end of the deal. They're not sorry they got him.
We recognize during the season as we track the numbers for our net point power rankings, we noticed the defensive numbers were so stinky for the Seahawks. And then after the arrival of Jamal Adams, and they got the edge rusher, name's escaping me, but those 2 guys really added a lot to that defense. It's amazing when you got 11 guys on the field that 2 guys can have such an impact. So definitely a hit. Mike Williams, number 7 pick overall. Chargers, I do believe, right?
Yeah, way too high for him. Shown flashes, nowhere near the value you should get for the number 7 pick overall.
Man, and you think about, the GM, and what they were saying about Mike Williams. And it's so interesting. Again, I always say to you guys, I value your experience. You watched a lot more college than I did. But this, in the past few years, as I've focused in on the college, the draft and things, and I listened to the way they talk about the different players, you tell me, do you remember how they described Mike Williams coming out of college? Do you remember that? If not, that's fine.
I mean, I don't remember verbatim. He's a big guy. He has decent speed, but he's not a burner. Has some deep ball capabilities, but pretty much turned out to be a possession receiver.
All right. So number 8, Christian McCaffrey, a hit.
Home run.
Practically, what's when you bring everybody home, a grand slam?
Absolutely.
Practically a grand slam. Followed by a miss, John Ross. Okay. Record holder in the 40-yard dash, I do believe, and the combine.
It's funny, we're using baseball terms here. Hit and miss.
Okay. Yeah.
So if Christian McCaffrey was a grand slam, John Ross was a swing and a miss. Okay. This guy struck out tremendously. He has never been, this guy's barely a 7th round value. Okay. I know I'm trashing him a little bit here, but 9th overall, what a wasted pick. Horrible.
Now, that was the Bengals, right?
Yes.
Do you remember who quarterbacked the Bengals back then?
It's Dalton, probably.
So the Bengals had Dalton at quarterback, and they let the Chiefs pick Patrick Mahomes after that. They went John Ross over Patrick Mahomes. interesting, who there's no doubt about is a hit. Had the best contract or the largest contract in NFL history, Super Bowl, all of the accolades, is now the prototype of what people want to be able to compare a quarterback to. Can he do the Mahomesian type things, make those Mahomes type throws? Amazing that you look at this list of everyone who went before him, much less the Mitchell Trubisky, and that's why Bears fans are still banging their head against the wall. But you look at that, and you got Patrick Mahomes going 10th.
Who was
right
the
after that? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Who was the Niners quarterback in 2017?
I'm thinking Alex Smith.
2017.
Off the top of my head, really was Alex Smith.
When did Kaepernick take the Super Bowl?
Huh?
What year were you in the Super Bowl?
So you're trying to tax my memory here, buddy.
Okay, y'all passed on Mahomes too.
Oh, we did.
Okay.
We were I don't know if that was the if that was the current coach's tenure or Chip Kelly's tenure. Whoever tenure it was, yes, we passed on him also.
Okay.
We also passed, from what I understand, on Aaron Rodgers. So we've got some good history.
No. Wait. Let's not get too far off track now. Okay. Alex Smith was very highly touted coming out in that draft. Alex Smith went number 1 overall to you guys, I believe. And Rodgers ended up getting passed up by a whole bunch of teams.
Oh, yeah.
You valued Alex Smith more than you valued Rodgers, and for good reason at the time. Okay. And Alex Smith, I would consider a hit. That was a different draft. Okay. That's further back. But hey, I don't fault you for that pick. I like Alex.
Okay, I can understand that. And I remember when we talked about Alex Smith retirement, I even mentioned how there was one game, I think his freshman year, he actually outdueled Aaron Rodgers. And we talked about how he led kind of a change in the entire way that they ran offenses in college. So Alex Smith was a big deal coming out. But this is all going back to your statement again, and my point in going through this, to say how much of a crapshoot this whole thing is.
Absolutely.
This is what we're doing when we're going back and we're looking at these hits, misses, and miss. And again, this is Ben and Barry on football. You can get us at benandbarryonfootball.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And of course, podcasts on Spotify, Apple, and Anchor podcast. Okay.
Hey, aren't we on the radio too?
WJRL 95.3 at WJRL953.com. Yes, online radio, Fridays from 6 to 7:30. Thank you. All right. Number 11, Marshawn Lattimore, a hit.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. And you can't tell me that a bunch of these teams that picked ahead of them, ahead of the Saints, didn't need defensive help. Well, I mean, let's see. Okay, Jamal Adams went to the Jets. Marshawn Lattimore, without a doubt, is still to this day a top 3 corner in this league. Okay, that's a huge hit, big time.
There you go. Deshaun Watson, number 12. Now, they did not include in the article his current legal issues. So just based on his football performance, on-field performance, they have him as a hit.
Doesn't matter. Look at his numbers from last season when he had basically nobody. He had no defensive support. He just lost his number 1 receiver. somehow he worked his number 2 receiver into a number 1, and then he got busted for performance enhancing drugs. And his numbers are still top notch. Deshaun Watson is a great hit.
Damn, okay. Sean Watson hit. Hassan Reddick, meh. Number 13 pick overall.
Yeah, first rounder out of Temple. Just doesn't have the numbers, man. Just doesn't have the numbers to support where he got selected.
Meh. Derek Barnett, number 14th pick. Meh.
Yeah, that's an Eagles pick. The guy's been okay. He made a play in the Super Bowl, I think.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, meh.
This is what's hilarious. But this is your first round.
Exactly.
This is your first round. This is how much intellectual capital was poured into making these decisions.
Yeah.
To wind up with a meh.
When you say meh, okay, the player, he's not a bad player. But when you look at his production as opposed to where he was selected, it just doesn't add up.
Doesn't add up. Malik Hooker, 15th pick overall. Meh.
Yeah, he's okay.
Marlon Humphrey, 16th pick, a hit. Is he on your fantasy?
I'll agree with that.
You'll agree with that?
I'll agree with that.
All right. You'll probably agree with the next one. Jonathan Allen, number 17th pick, a hit.
I'll agree with that.
No doubt. No doubt. He's a beast. Adoree Jackson, number 18 pick overall. They have him as a miss.
I don't consider him a miss. I consider him a meh. Okay. I think Adoree Jackson has some skills, and I think he will be displaying them because he's now working with my New York Giants. So yeah.
Is that a bias? Is that some bias creeping in there?
There's a little bit, because I don't consider him a miss. I consider him a meh, and sometimes guys that don't pan out production-wise as opposed to where they were selected in the first round, sometimes can go to another team and turn things around. And that's what I'm expecting.
That's what happened with Fournette, right? They had him as a meh.
Absolutely.
All right. O.J. Howard, the 19th pick, a miss.
Wow. Ton of potential. A little slow to catch on. Injuries. Yeah. For the 19th pick overall.
Is that your Giants?
No, it's Tampa Bay.
I'm sorry?
Why bring Gronk in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he wasn't getting it done.
Garrett Bowles, 20th pick, nah. Jared Davis, 21st pick, miss.
Jared Davis, who does he play for?
I think Jared Davis was a Raider, but I would need to double check that.
Miss.
Charles Harris, 22nd pick, miss.
Yeah.
Here you go, Benny. Evan Ingram, 23rd pick, meh.
Now, Evan Ingram is a New York Giant. I will agree with the meh. I saw another YouTube video that did the same type of thing, and they called him a miss. I don't think he's a miss. The potential is there. His rookie season was very productive, but then he fell off with injuries. I think he's still got a chance to turn things around.
You make a good point. I did want to mention that in this conversation, a lot of these misses and mess have to do with injuries.
Yes.
So a lot of these guys, their journey in the NFL was disrupted relative to injuries or because of injuries. Now here's a hit. Jabril Peppers, the 25th overall pick.
Yes, Jabril Peppers is a hit. He was a hit with the Browns on a losing team, and he's still a hit now with my New York Giants.
I always liked Jabril Peppers, man. Hey, with a name like Jabril Peppers, you know, you got to be able to do something.
Versatility.
Speaking of names, let me make sure I say this right. Takaris McKinley.
Karis McKinley. First of all, if you hear a name that you don't recognize and you can't think of what team he's on, and he's a miss, you know why he's a miss. If he's a meh, now I know his name because it's a rare name, but I can't think of what team he's on. But yeah, meh means, what have you done for me lately? Your 26th overall pick in the entire draft. You got picked before Tre'Davious White, a hit. David and Njoku, who they have as a meh. I'm sorry, I'm getting a hit. This guy got picked before TJ Watt. Dude. Swing and a miss.
Swing and a miss. Okay. Who is he with here?
I'm sorry, I got carried away. I think we're at Tre'Davious White, who was the no doubt about it hit. If
Atlanta.
If Lattimore is the number one corner in the league, Tre'Davious White is number two.
Okay. But I just wanted to mention Takaris McKinley, linebacker for Atlanta.
Yeah.
Tre'Davious White was 27, a definite hit with the Buffalo Bills, your junior team.
No doubt about it.
All right. Taco Charlton.
He's a Cowboy.
Cowboys, 28th pick, miss.
Yeah, they got him as a miss. I call him a meh.
You call Taco a meh?
Yeah, only because he's still hanging around.
Now, the next one, I kind of question the meh ranking. That's the 29th pick overall, David Njoku. I kind of think he's kind of a hit, but I think that the Browns was just so bad that they never really capitalized on what he could do.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a scheme fit. He just doesn't have the production to warrant a first-round selection. Doesn't mean he can't do it. Doesn't mean he won't get better. That's why he's a meh. Like, we're still waiting on him. You hear his name all the time.
TJ Watt was the 30th pick of the 2017 draft. A hit, pretty much, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt about it, TJ Watt. I love TJ Watt.
The 31st
better
pick,
than JJ.
Absolutely. 31st pick, my Niners picked Reuben Foster. Such a miss, so much talent. Kind of like Alden. Just had the social issues, those off the field issues. And, you know, basically that was a first round pick that was a total miss.
Yep.
Ryan Ramczyk was the 32nd pick of the first round, and he's considered a hit.
Absolutely it.
So again, we're talking about the risk and the success or lack thereof of the NFL and their ability to get the type of value that they even assign themselves to these picks. The 2017 first round draft pick, you had 12 hits, excuse me, 12 hits out of 32 picks, 10 misses out of 32 picks, and 10 mess. So if you add the mess and the misses, that's, 20 out of 32 of the first round picks. I would say that the teams did not get the value that they thought they were going to get at that level of a pick.
And hence, we call it a crapshoot.
A crapshoot.
Okay. And when you make a pick in the very first round, you would love to pick the guy that turns out to be the best player in the draft. But that's not your goal. Your goal is to get somebody that balls out, that makes a difference on your team. A playmaker, a Pro Bowler. That's what you're looking for.
Now, we mentioned that teams use a numerical chart to value their picks. I just want to share some information about that chart because from what I've read, this chart kind of came along from the Cowboys. Now, this particular chart uh, is on the overthecap.com website, the Fitzgerald-Spielberger NFL Draft Trade Value Chart. And the idea of this chart here is that every pick is given a value. The number one pick is given a value of 3,000, for example. And the very last pick, the two, is that right? Yes.
Yeah, the very last pick in the draft,
It
scroll back.
looks like 190. So
Right.
you've gone
The 256th pick in the draft.
as a value of 190.
190.
So your value drops as you move out from the first pick to the 256th pick, from 3,000 to 190. And the idea is that if you have two teams and one team wants to approach the other team with some trade concepts based on picks. So let's say the day of the draft, my Niners go to your Giants, Benny, and they say, hey, we will give you, because you have the first round pick, and that's worth 3,000. So we're going to give you the 33rd pick in the draft, which is valued at 1,228. We're going to give you the 65th pick in the draft, which is valued at 885. And we're going to give you the 97th pick of the draft, which is valued at 682. I'm just using numbers that are easily visible. You would say to me, nah, my chart says my pick is worth 3,000. Your three picks together are only worth 27.95. I would not be getting my full value for my pick. And I go, oh man.
You might say that, and you might not.
But just based on this chart, the value that you're giving me doesn't match the value of what you're looking for from me.
True.
So if you then said to me, I tell you what, I'll sweeten the pot with the 40th pick, and the 40th pick is valued at 1131. Total value then at 3926. I'm netting positive 926. This takes us back to that conversation we had about my Niners and that big draft trade that they did with the Eagles and the Dolphins, and how my Niners were actually coming out on the negative. Their value that they were getting back in terms of these charts and things was less. Now, you made a great point. The chart value here is one way to look at it, but you never know what the true value is until you see what they've accomplished for your franchise over the time. You look at the 10th pick, for example, valued at 1833. Well, we just talked about in 2017, the 10th pick was Patrick Mahomes. So although the first pick was valued at 3,000, matter of fact, Trubisky at the second pick was valued at 2649. The return that the Chiefs got at 1833, which is Mahomes' value, was way beyond anything that they could imagine for that raw number.
That is correct. Absolutely. And just, let's look at this again now. So you said, I'll give you the 33rd pick, the 65th pick, and the 97th pick. And just looking at it value-wise, that didn't add up to me. So I said no. And you said, I'll sweeten the pot and I'll throw in the 40th pick. So basically, you're giving me 2 second rounders, a third and a fourth for the first pick overall. That sounds better, right?
Well, that actually sounds worse in terms of, first pick, you're going to get second rounders. But those are early second rounders because the 33rd pick is the first pick of the second round.
Absolutely. Why does that sound worse?
Well, because I'm thinking that if you're giving up a first rounder, you probably want a first round, maybe later first round.
If
But
I'm
you still want the first round, some kind of first round in return. You don't want to be out of the first round completely.
If I'm a good team who acquired the first round pick, the first pick overall in some previous year trade, and I'm solid at quarterback, and my needs are not really, really strong. Like I don't have any really strong needs. I'll take 2 seconds, a third, and a fourth. You doggone right. I can build my team for the future with that. Why would I not? Why would I not do that?
Well, the number one reason that we use the chart was just to show how it works.
I understand
so
that.
The logic behind all of that, what you're saying is I agree.
I'm saying it in layman's terms. I'm saying it in layman's terms. Okay. Because when people watch television and say, oh, there was a trade, they traded this for that and that for this. They don't talk about values. They talk about picks and where those picks are. So I'm just putting a face on the values. Okay. I will give you the first round, the first pick overall in the draft for 2 seconds, a third, and a fourth. Depending on the team, depending on that draft class, depending on my needs, that doesn't sound like it could be really crazy to me. That's doable. I've seen teams trade the first pick overall. No doubt about it. And guess what? If you trade yourself out of the first round and you acquire 2 seconds and you have your own second, now you have 3 picks in the second round and 2 picks in the third round and 2 picks in the fourth round. Not bad, huh?
It sounds perfect. Again, the situation could be very doable. You could have that situation.
Absolutely.
My main purpose was just to introduce this whole concept. I didn't know anything about this chart, and I didn't realize, because again, that's something that they use in the back rooms. And the new the NFL now, we're all in that back room. We're everywhere, especially with the pandemic, and they're not even we're right into people's homes. One of the things that really freaked people out last year was Cardinals coach, right? From his home with his laptop in his Phoenix, Arizona, wherever in that Arizona location he was, had the sharpest house. Everybody was talking about it. They're like, man, I want one like that.
Yeah, the guy lives in a palace.
Oh man, it was nice. It was nice. So we get to see a little bit more about what's going on. Now, when you start to talk about the crapshoot, we found another article. Now, this is from the NFLDraftNetwork.com. And what they said here was that in this particular draft, right, they expect 5 quarterbacks to be drafted before the 10th pick. So they're assuming that Trevor Lawrence and Zach Williams are locked in at 1 and 2, and then you have all the other Trey Lawrence. What's Trey's last name?
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance. I'm sorry. The Justin Fields, the Mac Joneses. So those are 5 that seem to be on everybody's lips when they're talking about quarterbacks. And they were saying that as a quarterback class, this is a historic class, that this is a really good quarterback class. Let's look at this chart and let's see how unusual this class could be. Because what they're saying here was that never before in this century have 5 quarterbacks been picked by the 10th pick overall of the draft. And potentially you could have 5 quarterbacks get picked in the first 5 picks, but Kyle Pitts has probably got something to say about that, considering everybody thinks that he's probably the most talented person in the draft overall in terms of just talent. But it's so interesting to see that that really has not been done. There were 4 quarterbacks picked in the top 10 in 2018, 3 in the top 10, 2020, 2012, 2011. There were 5 quarterbacks picked in the top 15.
They were not.
Never. Hasn't happened. So it didn't happen in the top 10, and it didn't happen in the top 15.
Correct.
And it didn't happen in the top 20 either.
Correct.
So to get 5 quarterbacks, like it looks like it's going to happen in this draft. Now, you have a mock draft coming up. I'm going to ask you not to give me your whole mock draft, but do you have 5 going in the top 5?
No, I do not.
In the top 10?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you're about to go against the century trend here, sir. So anyway, the theme here is that, as Ben said earlier, this whole drafting thing is somewhat of a crapshoot, and that crapshoot has never been as expensive as what it's starting to look like this one is, because people are going straight after these quarterbacks right in your top 5, or at least your top 10, much less your top 15. And so it's going to be very interesting. What do you think about that?
I have 4 in the top 10 in my mock. 5 in the top 10 has never happened. 5 in the top 15 has never happened. 5 in the top 20 has never happened. So 5 this year in the top 10 is definitely not going to happen. But I do have 4 in the top 10. I have 5 in the top 15.
Wow. Wow, that's wild. That is wild. So overall, if you were looking at this quarterback class, what do you think?
I think it's a great class. I think it's potentially a great class. We never know until the guys actually get signed and put on their uniforms and hit the practice field, and you know what I mean? See if they're going to sit out or if they have to play right away or whatever the scenario happens to be for whatever team selects them. We just don't know until that happens, but potentially this could be a great quarterback class.
Now, my Niners gave up next year, a first round next year. Okay.
And the year after.
And the year after. And the reason that I mentioned next year is because I did take the time to kind of try to figure out who is the hot quarterback for 2022. So let's just take a quick look at this list here that they have for 2022. Brock Purdy, number 10, Iowa State. Brock Purdy is 6'1", 212, completed 66% of his passes, just under 9,000 yards, 62 touchdowns, 25 interceptions at 35 in 35 games. He did rush for 939 yards on 280 rushes, about 3.5 yards, with 18 touchdowns rushing. What do you know anything about this gentleman?
Yeah, I've heard about him. I can't remember watching too much Iowa State football. These are career stats, or these
I can see
season stats.
I'm assuming these are career. It just says stats here. 35 games. That's obviously more than one season.
Oh yeah, right. You're right. From 2018 to 2020, I see now. Okay. That's not great.
Okay. Well, they have him at number 10. Number 9, they have a Phil Jerkovic, Boston College. Now, the one thing I was looking at was height for these. So the first guy, 6'1", Mr. Jerkovic here is 6'5".
Okay, that's prototypical size.
61% completion and 336 passes, 2,500 plus yards, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in 10 games at Boston College in 2020, and 77 rushes, only about a 1.9 average with 3 touchdowns rushing, 5 runs from in close. So he's listed at number 9. You have anything on him?
Nothing to write home about. Let's see what he does this year.
Matt Corral, Ole Miss. He's coming in at 6'1". Then I want to mention that it looked like a lot of these quarterbacks in this top 10 list here, now this is 247sports.com, are not that tall. They're like 6-footers, 6'1". You know, they're not really that tall. So this gentleman here, Matt Corral, Ole Miss, 6'1", only about 500 passes, a little under 5,000 yards. So he's 37 touchdowns, 18 interceptions in 24 games. So he's not bad. He's not bad. That's your number 8. Okay. Anything on him?
Yeah, I've watched him play because I saw him throw the ball to some wideouts that are coming out in the draft this year. And he's not bad. I expect him to improve and have a decent season. Lane Kiffin is his coach. I expect him to do well. We'll be hearing his name later.
Now, they're listing these as top 10 quarterbacks for 2022.
Right.
My question is, are these first rounders?
No, not yet.
Well, okay. Potential first rounders is the question. So if we were looking at them, because I think, for example, Trevor Lawrence was kind of looked at as a potential first rounder
His freshman year. His freshman year.
That's what I'm talking about.
A first rounder.
So I'm not seeing anybody so far on this list like that.
No.
Let's go to the next guy.
Go back.
Did I miss something?
Yeah, this guy Ritter.
Desmond Ritter, I'm sorry, since Cincinnati, 6'4".
6'4", 215.
Mm-hmm.
Again, 61%. 57 touchdowns. And only 20 interceptions in 36 games between 18 and 20. Over 1,000 yards rushing and 22 touchdowns. I've seen this guy. He is exciting.
Yeah?
He's exciting. I'm not calling any of these dudes first rounders yet, but he's exciting.
Well, I have to keep an eye out for Mr. Desmond Ritter out of Cincinnati. All right. Then got somebody. Okay, how about Carson Strong, Nevada?
I heard about this guy too.
6'4", 215.
Yeah, he's got a big arm. He's got
big arm
in a wide open offense. What does this say? 67% passing. That's better than those other guys. 38 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That's pretty good in 20 games. I've heard of him. Nevada's not on television a lot, so I would have to dig for some film on him. But he's a big guy with a big arm.
According to the article, an early round draft pick next spring is what they're already projecting for this young man. Tyler Shaw, Shough, out of Texas Tech.
So if he's out of Texas Tech, that means he throws the ball a lot. 6'5", 220, prototypical size. 65% passer. Ooh. 16 touchdowns to 6 interceptions in 15 games. Meh.
This isn't the meth portion of the show.
Yeah, right. I had to bring the meth back. Let me just say this. He's got the prototypical size. He's in a passing offense. We have to see, again, people got to remember, we just came off of a pandemic season, okay? A lot of teams didn't play a full schedule, all right? So we have to give these guys a chance to really show us what they can do in this upcoming season.
Number 4, Keaton, or Kedon, Caden
Slovis.
USC.
Yes. The old
6'3".
USC quarterback. USC quarterbacks are usually pretty good. They're not always hits when they get to the NFL, but they usually come in with a lot of fanfare. He's got the size, 6'3", 215. He's a 70% passer. That's good. 47 touchdowns and 16 interceptions in 18 games. That's doggone nice production right there. That's doggone nice production right there. This guy looks like he's ready to be a pro. Again, not declaring him a number 1 pick or a first round pick, but this guy is making some noise.
Number 3, okay, we're getting to the top 3 here. JT Daniels, Georgia.
Okay, good height, a little light.
6'3", 210.
Yeah, 67% passer, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but they only played 4 games. Again, remember, pandemic. Certain conferences, certain teams weren't able to play a full schedule of games. So I'm going to reserve my thoughts for this upcoming season.
Okay. These are names that we got to keep an eye out for. Spencer Rattler, Oklahoma.
Spencer Rattler. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a show that was on, it was either on Netflix or Hulu. It was called QB1. And what they did was they picked 3 quarterbacks in high school in different locations. I think one guy was on the East Coast, one guy was like Midwest or Florida or something, and one guy was West Coast or close to the West Coast. And they followed their senior years. And Rattler was one of them. Okay? I like this guy. Okay? If you get a chance, go click on Netflix and look for QB1 and see if you can find the episodes where they showed Rattler. Okay? And remember, when the show was on, when the program was on TV, they were kids. They were like senior, they were like 18. Okay? But it showed them going through a season. And it showed them at home with their parents. It showed them in the locker room. It showed them on the field in practice, how they talked to their teammates, how they got along with their coaches, other students in their class. It's a really good show. It's a very interesting show. And I watched Rattler, and I thought he was a winner. I like this kid. This kid's going to be nice. And he's playing in a big-time program at Oklahoma.
They say he potentially is the most natural thrower of the football, comparing to Lincoln Riley's last 3 quarterbacks, and talking about Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. If he's a more natural thrower than Kyler Murray with his baseball background, that's pretty impressive.
I like this kid.
The number 1, Sam Howell out of North Carolina.
Yeah.
Again, 6'1", not real tall, 225. 64%?
Over 7,000 yards, 68 touchdowns to 14 interceptions in 25 games. Those are nice numbers. Those are not nice numbers. Drawing comparisons to Baker Mayfield, that's nothing to sneeze at. I like this kid. And North Carolina had a good season. It was short season last year, but they had a nice year. I remember seeing him. He's going to be good.
Occasional brilliance out of structure. This is what I was talking about when I was saying how everyone wants to compare to Mahomes, because that's where Mahomes is brilliant, and that's what everybody recognizes. Once the play breaks down, off platform, they call it out of structure. I believe that's the same thing.
Yes.
So they're saying occasional brilliance in that situation, but deadly within the system. So very interesting. But I just wanted to kind of take some time to think about, okay, my Niners gave up some future. If they were looking at a quarterback in a future draft, did they look at this class and go, meh,
Yes, they
this
did.
current class, we got to
Yes,
jump on these guys as much as possible?
yes, they did. And I tell you what, it may have been different if not for the pandemic, where some of these guys were able to play out a full season, especially the kid from North Carolina, the kid Rattler at Oklahoma, and the kid from USC, Slovan, especially them. Oh, and the kid from Cincinnati, excuse me, who was extremely exciting to watch. If you don't watch any college football, find the games where you can watch those four guys play, okay? But as far as the 49ers are concerned, they wanted a quarterback. They felt like they needed a quarterback. They're either going to get a guy that they feel they can put behind Garoppolo, who they can plug in if he gets hurt again, or if he shines, they can look to unload Garoppolo. And these guys that are coming out next year just haven't been able to show. I'm not even going to say they haven't shown enough. They haven't been able to show enough to make them say, you know what, we're going to just go with Jimmy and we'll wait till next year when we can, get one of these guys. So they're all in now, bro. You don't have a first round pick till 2024. Okay. So you can look at it like you're screwed, or you can look at it like I trust my guys to make the right pick, and I expect to be Super Bowl bound within the next 3-4 years.
Well, I kind of look at things a little more objectively. And again, this whole show was based around the idea that this is kind of a crapshoot. And for us, this looks like a leveraged crapshoot. Like we went into the negatives for this. So, and as you're saying,
but isn't it worth it? If you win a Super Bowl, isn't it worth it?
If we win a Super Bowl, okay.
And you gotta understand, bro. Here I go again, defending your team for you. I'm not even a doggone fan. Have you looked at your roster lately?
Yes.
I heard you talk about the injuries that you had last year. You have a Super Bowl roster.
Oh, no doubt.
You're on the cusp, bro, of being right back.
Right. Yes.
I don't care who takes you there. I don't care if I don't care who they pick at the number 3 pick. Okay? Because Jimmy G, if he stays healthy, he could get you there again with the roster that you have. This kid they picked with the number 3 pick overall might not see a down.
Exactly.
Who cares?
Well, you care.
But when you have a starting quarterback who has injury issues, you can't act like that doesn't exist, okay? Because if the wheels fall off of Jimmy G, you're screwed. CJ Beathard ain't going to get it done no more, okay? You have to get a quarterback to pick up the ball when he drops it.
Hey, Ben, CJ Beathard isn't the one going to be handed the ball. It'll probably be Josh Rosen.
Okay, that's even worse. That's even worse. You have to get a quarterback now. If for no other reason, insurance.
Man, we could have got Teddy for a 6th rounder.
Bro, Teddy Bridgewater is not going to take you to a Super Bowl. Okay?
Teddy Bridgewater might win us a few regular season games to buy some time if Garoppolo got hurt.
What you're doing right now, what you guys jumped up to the 3rd pick overall now, is akin to when you got Kaepernick. Okay? Kaepernick came in, what, mid-season, 3/4 of the season, and took you to a Super Bowl. You're trying to recreate that now. If Jimmy G goes down week 8, you going to go to Teddy Bridgewater? Bro, come on.
Teddy Bridgewater.
I'm all in. I'm all in with this. This trade,
First of all,
guys,
you already know that I've already said, I'm down for Trey Lance. That's who I would want because he fits perfectly into the scenario that you just brought.
Okay.
The question is,
are they going to take Trey Lance?
Did we mortgage too much to go to get a Trey Lance or a Mac Jones or a Justin?
Say that. How can you say that?
No, I'm asking the question. I'm not saying that. I'm simply because you saw the chart. We were already in the negative, and you've already called it a crapshoot. And we've shown that in the 2017 draft, there was only about a 30% win percentage out of all of these picks, which confirms what you were saying about it being a crapshoot. So now we're talking about a leveraged crapshoot, one where you went into the negative on a crapshoot situation. So I'm just bringing all of this out. I'm hoping for the best.
If you're not sitting on a Super Bowl roster, you don't make this trade. But you are. You are.
Okay. All right. Let's wrap this puppy up a bit, Benny. And again, mentioning this is Ben and Barry on football. We are on Fridays on WJRL953.com online radio from 6 to 7:30. Make sure you also tune into our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. We have a certain amount of time that we're allotted on the radio, but on all of our other platforms, we can go a little bit longer or a while longer. So we sometimes will have additional additional information that we're sharing on the YouTube platform and on the podcast platform.
Yes. Oh, by the way, shout out to Nina, who was a guest on the show last week. Appreciate you. Appreciate what you're doing for us on the radio. I noticed there was no Ohio State quarterbacks in the top 10 for next year. So do some research for me. Let me know what's going on in Ohio State.
All right. We'll keep an eye on Ohio State here. All right. We always like to wrap up something with some good news. Ian Rappaport reported on Twitter, the trend may be catching on. Hall of Fame running back Marshall Faulk and Southern University have mutual interests in Faulk becoming its head coach. I mentioned this to you. You said this was big, and they're following in the footsteps of Deion Sanders and who's the other running back?
Eddie George.
Holy mackerel.
First of all, number one, this is great for HBCUs. Not just Southern, but the entire SWAC conference. Okay. Number two, Marshall Faulk, a guy who doesn't even need to make a move like this, seems to want to make a move like this. Number three, Marshall Faulk, one of the most intelligent football players that ever graced this league. And when I say intelligent, I'm talking about his teammates raved about him when he played, about his knowledge of the game, his knowledge of the rules, his understanding of plays, concepts on both sides of the ball, okay? His memory, the way he was able to remember plays, remember concepts, understand what was going on the field during games. Almost like he's up in the booth just watching, yet he's out on the field actually playing and still able to comprehend what's going on around him. Marshall Faulk is a freaking genius, okay? And I hope he takes this job. And Southern University has a stellar legacy in the SWAC. This would be a major move for the conference and for HBCUs in general. I would love to see this happen. I hope like heck this happens.
This trend of these great NFL players, and these aren't just regular NFL players. This isn't the guy, the Met as we talked about some of these guys, or the seventh rounder that who got a coaching job and moved up. I mean, these are Hall of Famers.
Right.
These are Hall of Famers, man. And they're going to bring a tsunami of cash and value to the HBCU program.
And let's not make no mistake. There are assistant coaches on a bunch of D1 teams right now that if you put their coaching resume up against some of these guys' coaching resume, they blow them away because these guys have no coaching resume, okay? But they were great players, all right? So the first thing that happens when a Hall of Famer decides he wants to become a head coach at an HBCU, the first thing that happens is you get star quality, okay? But along with star quality comes recruiting top flight players, okay? But when you recruit top flight players, you got to win games. So the most important thing besides recruiting for these guys is going to be their staff. You have to set up a real valid coaching staff, okay? And I believe that over time, some of these, I don't even know what to call them, some of these career assistants, career coordinators are going to start to filter down to some of these HBCUs. And then you're going to really see these guys take off.
Well, you made a good point.
I'm not saying it's going to happen next year or in 2 years. I'm telling you, this can happen. And I'm praising these guys who are making these moves and trying to shine a light on these HBCUs, because there are quality players still coming out of some of these HBCUs in the SWAC conference. And I just want to see everybody get their just due. That's all. I want these dudes to be coached up by the best. Okay. I want to see these 5-star and 4-star high school players deciding, yeah, I want to go to Southern. I want to go to Grambling. I want to go to Howard. I want to go to Moore. I want to go to Lincoln. Okay. It's going to take a little while for it to dribble down to Lincoln. Okay. But it can happen. It can happen. I love it.
I'm with you. And we already talked about the staff that Dion put together. That looked like an A+ staff. Again, you got to win. That's what it's all going to boil down to. So much is going to hinge on that. But I'm with you. So congratulations, Marshall Faulk, and all the best. As this trend continues. Hope who's going to be next? Randy Moss.
No, I don't know about Randy Moss, but Ed Reed's name is being floated around.
Ed Reed's name is being floated around. Yes, it is. And I can see Coach Reed. He just, I'm surprised he hasn't already done it.
Right. I'm telling you, these guys are like, I mean, I don't know what kind of coaches they're going to be. All right. But they're savants, man. They have so much knowledge. It's unbelievable. Now, being able to be a game day coach is one thing. They're going to have to get coordinators. They're going to have to get quality coordinators. They're going to have to put together quality staffs. But running a program, I have no doubt they can do it. No doubt.
think the key word here for all of them is going to be leadership. You know,
Yeah,
that's what they're going to
yes.
provide is,
They're all leaders. Dion,
yeah,
leader.
overall,
Eddie
you know,
George, leader.
right.
Marshall Faulk, leader.
No doubt. No doubt. So I'm looking forward to it. I just think every time you say Marshall Faulk, I go to my next door neighbor when I used to play Mad with him. And he would play with the Rams. And the first time we were playing, and he goes in and he makes a change in the depth chart, takes the quarterback out, and he puts Marshall Faulk in at quarterback.
Oh, not fair, not fair, not fair.
I'm like, what are you doing? And then as he destroys me, I'm seeing what he's doing. He's running around. I can't catch him. And he can throw the ball.
And in
Marshall
real life,
Faulk.
he can throw the ball. In real
Yeah.
life, he can throw the ball.
In real life. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's modeled right in the game. He can throw the ball.
Yes. Yes.
So you talk about Kaepernick, you talk about all those other running quarterbacks. This is a running back who can quarterback. You know, probably close thing we have to that right now is with the Saints.
Taysom?
Taysom Hill. All right, all right. Well, look, we're getting ready to wrap this puppy up. Ben, I've been talking about when I hear a line that I just love, I try to write it down. I try to make a note just to sort of finish up the show. Well, one of my favorite people I love to listen to is Brian Baldinger, right? Baldinger's breakdowns, right? He really breaks it down.
And his fingers are all crunched up.
His fingers are all like messed up and everything. And he's talking about one of the wide receivers in the draft, right? And he was showing some video and he says, see how well he ran that pivot route? He said, quote, most people can't run the pivot route. They break their own ankles doing it. Like, no, he didn't just say that.
Meanwhile, the quarterback is burping the baby.
It's burping the baby. Yeah, that's the other great line that we love. Oh, my God. So many good lines in football. All right, Mr. Dickerson, any last words from you?
Yeah.
Oh, we did not do your mock draft, did we?
No, we didn't. And the draft is tomorrow. So you want to,
Hey, look. We'll make sure that this goes on the YouTube. This might not make the radio.
Okay, that's fine.
But it'll be on the YouTube. It'll be on the podcast.
Go through it real quick.
Wrap up. Let's go through the Dickerson brothers mock draft. What number is this?
This will be 3.0.
3.0, and you don't use fractions. So, all right, let's hear it. Let's hear it. And just to remind all of our listeners, we're going to come back next week. We have a system to rate the success of these mock drafts. So we're going to look at the Dickerson brothers. We're going to pull up a few of these, quote, professionals.
Yes.
And we're going to see who really has some mock draft skills going on here.
I'm putting my mock draft up against whoever. All cover. Mel Kiper. Bring it. Bring it.
You better watch out for Mina Kynes. That's my girl.
I like Mina. Mina's smart. I like Mina.
I don't even know if she did a mock draft, though, to be quite honest with you. All right, go ahead. You got it.
I can do this really quick, okay? Because there's a few changes. Now, what I'll do is I'm going to go down my list really fast. I'm not going to get into sizes and 40 times and all that crap. I'm just going to throw out names because names is what everybody's going to be focused on tomorrow when the draft begins. And you can get all the other fluff from the guys on TV. The number 1 pick overall goes to Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to take Trevor Lawrence. Number 2, the New York Jets are going to take Zach Wilson. The number 3 pick is the intriguing pick. As of 2 hours ago, the San Francisco 49ers were still trying to decide between Mac Jones, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance. And this is the longest I'm going to spend on any one team, okay? This pick is critical to the rest of the entire draft There will be changes made. There will be draft picks, draft positions switched. All kinds of stuff is going to happen after this pick is made. It's not the only one, but this pick is major. But I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to stick with the pick that I picked originally for the San Francisco 49ers, which is Trey Lance. And Barry, we talked about this. Number one, he's got the prototypical size. Number two, you have probably heard people talk about North Dakota State running a pro offense, okay? Let me explain to you what a pro offense is, okay? The San Francisco 49ers, 42% of the time run 21 personnel. 21 personnel means they use two running backs, a halfback, running back, and a fullback. Okay? Exactly. One tight end and two wide receivers. 42% of the time, that's what the 49ers use. And guess what? For the majority of the time, that's what North Dakota State ran. Okay? Trey Lance took more snaps under center, not in the shotgun, not in the pistol, under center than any of the other quarterbacks coming out this year. They're taking Trey Lance. He fits what they do. And I know that's important to you as a Niners fan, and that's why they're going to take Trey Lance. Now, once they take Trey Lance, okay, the Atlanta Falcons, I predicted would take Penei Sewell. They will not. They will take Justin Fields from Ohio State. They'll let him sit behind Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has another year left, maybe two, maybe a year and a half, and they will bring Justin Fields in. Remember, a lot of people are screaming that the Niners take Justin Fields. They will not. They will take Trey Lance. The Atlanta Falcons will take Justin Fields. At number 5, I predicted the Cincinnati Bengals would go with Jamar Chase from LSU, the wide receiver who played with Burrow. Guess what? He'd love to have Jamar Chase, but Kyle Pitts is special. Cincinnati Bengals will take Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida. Now, I predicted Miami would have Kyle Pitts fall to them. He will not. So guess what? The Miami Dolphins at number 6, they take Jamar Chase, big time wide receiver, best wide receiver in the draft as far as I'm concerned, pure wide receiver, because the best receiver is Kyle Pitts. Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver. That means Devontae Smith falls to the Detroit Lions, where I originally had him. He stays. Rashawn Slater stays with Carolina. Carolina has gotten rid of Bridgewater. They've bought in with the quarterback that they got from the Jets. They're going to stick with him. They're going to try to protect him. They're going to bring in Rashawn Slater, an offensive tackle, 6'3", 315, great size, good player. Denver Broncos. I thought Justin Fields would fall to them, but no, he will not. The Falcons will take Justin Fields. That means the Denver Broncos will go defense. And the guy on defense that's been shooting up the boards is J.C. Horn, the cornerback out of South Carolina, the son of Joe Horn, who was a wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints. Okay, so we got bloodlines there. That takes me to the number 10 pick overall, which belongs to the Dallas Cowboys. I had the Dallas Cowboys taking Micah Parsons, who I love. I love Micah Parsons, linebacker out of Penn State. But guess what? Now the Cowboys are going to go for the next best, or what they may feel is the best corner out there, because they need so much help in their secondary, and that's Patrick Surtain out of Alabama. So guess what, New York Giants fans? Instead of taking Christian Darrisaw, out offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech, who I would love to have, I have no problem with him. But guess who drops to us, gang? Micah Parsons, linebacker out of Penn State. Let's go Giants. Micah Parsons out of Penn State, the linebacker. Philadelphia Eagles, you still get your guy, Jalen Waddle, wide receiver out of Alabama. Los Angeles Chargers still get their receiver, Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss. Ole Miss, who caught passes from that guy that's coming out next year that we talked about earlier. Minnesota Vikings, I had you taking an offensive lineman. I still have you taking an offensive lineman because you have to keep your running game going. That's the only thing that keeps Kirk Cousins from being a bust, okay? So instead of going with Dylan Raduns, now, because the Giants didn't take him, you could take the better run blocker, who is Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. Guess who that leaves for the New England Patriots, who everybody thinks is going to trade up? And don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. It's a possibility that the New England Patriots could still trade up. But guess who's sitting there for them at number 15? Mac Jones, quarterback out of Alabama. This sounds great, doesn't it? This is wonderful. Okay, I'm cheering myself. Arizona Cardinals at number 16. Get a receiver, Rashad Bateman. They stick with that. Los Angeles Raiders stick with the offensive tackle, Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State. Big kid, 6'6", 320. Raiders love those big guys. Miami Dolphins get a second pick in the first round. They already went offense. Now they go defense. They get the linebacker out of Notre Dame, Jeremiah Owusu-Kamaru. This guy is extremely versatile, can play linebacker, strong safety, hybrid, whatever you want to call it. He's it. This is a big pickup for the Dolphins and their man-to-man defense. The Washington football team needs another receiver. Kadarius Toney, who I believe is from Philadelphia, not 100%, but I'm pretty sure this kid is from Philadelphia. Kadarius Toney, oh, you know what? There's another Toney from Penn State. I might be getting it mixed up. But anyway, wide receiver out of Florida, he still goes to Washington.
What number are we at?
We're at number 19.
We're at number 19. Let me also mention, I don't remember us mentioning Kyle Pitts' connection to Philadelphia.
Yes, I didn't mention that Kyle Pitts is from Philadelphia. He went to Newman Goretti. Number 20, Chicago Bears. I had them taking Elijah Vera Tucker, an offensive lineman from USC. Now, I believe they will get a guy that they probably have a little higher on their board, Dylan Raduns, an offensive tackle, same position, but out of North Dakota State, a guy that blocked for Trey Lance. Now he's available for them. I think they'll take him instead. Colts, they need a pass rusher. They're going to go with Kwity Paye, edge rusher out of Michigan. I'll stick with that. Tennessee Titans.
Can I mention real quick, if you have not had a chance to see Kwity Paye's story on the NFL channel or whatever.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to see it?
No, I have not.
Okay. Kwity Paye is families from Africa.
Okay.
They were part of a situation where one tribe comes to the other tribe and they're killing everybody, and then you have people, and then somehow they got to the United States. His mother lost her father, and so she named Kwity after her father, who was lost in one of those raids. And so this whole story about coming here and what he's been able to do and what she had to go through, it's an awesome story. So whoever gets Kwity Paye is going to get somebody who is serious.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll be sure to watch that. Where are we here? Number 22, Tennessee Titans. I think they go receiver. They lost Corey Davis. I believe they're going to go with Terrence Marshall Jr., another receiver out of LSU. Great size, 6'3", 201. New York Jets, go defense. Greg Newsome II, cornerback out of Northwestern. Pittsburgh Steelers, go linebacker. This is a big-time need for Pittsburgh. They need a linebacker really bad. They're going to go with Nick Bolton out of Missouri. I got the Jaguars at number 25 with their second pick in the first round. They went quarterback first. Now they're going to go defense. Trayvon Morig Woodard safety out of TCU. Good size for a safety, 6'2", 203. I like that. Cleveland Browns, they need an edge rusher. They need somebody to go with Barnett. Jason Owe, edge rusher out of Penn State. I know I said I wasn't going to say a whole bunch about these guys' size and their 40 times and all, but this dude ran like a 4.4 at 6'5", 257. Unbelievable. A freak.
Scary.
A freak. Okay? He goes to the Cleveland Browns. We're almost done, gang. Number 27, Baltimore Ravens. Azeez Ojulari, another edge rusher out of Georgia. Great size, great speed, good hands, gets around the edge. He's going to make a difference for Baltimore, who needs help on defense.
Can I pause you 1 second?
Yes, sir.
One of the things we were going to talk about, didn't get a chance to, you saw the video. I watched the video of Bucky Brooks talking about the Ravens.
Yes.
And suggesting that they do what they can to get Justin Fields.
Yes.
And so that they can graduate and they can go into almost like a college style draft system.
Yes.
Rather than keeping Lamar around for that expensive contract once he comes off his rookie deal.
Yes.
They actually have someone who could then step in because they're so systemic in the way they do things that he believes they could bring in a guy like a Justin Fields to replace a Lamar Jackson.
I understand his thinking.
Are pulling their hair out. They don't know whether to agree, disagree, call him crazy or a genius.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to call him crazy, but it's not going to happen because the only way that's going to happen is if the Baltimore Ravens trade up to the number 4 spot, and that's not going to happen.
According to your draft. Go ahead.
Okay. So they're going to take the edge rusher and be satisfied with that. Number 28, the New Orleans Saints. Another familiar name, Bloodlines. Asante Samuel Jr. out of Florida State. Really good player, very instinctive, great ball skills. I love him. Green Bay Packers, Christian Darmore, a defensive lineman out of Alabama. I'm sorry, 6'5", 311. Can't go wrong with Alabama D linemen. I mean, few of them are busts. They always kind of pan out. The Buffalo Bills, and I love the Buffalo Bills. They're my second favorite team. Jalen Phillips is a great edge rusher out of Miami. Really great size, long arms, wiry build, okay? He's going to make a difference for Buffalo, who needs a lot of help on the D-line. I expect them to do a little bit more to shore up their D-line. 31, Kansas City Chiefs. I think they'll stick with Sam Cosmi, an offensive tackle out of Texas. Great size, long arms. He's 6'7". Long arms should fit in really well. But I tell you the truth, the Chiefs have a lot of linemen coming, coming back. Coming back. One guy opted out because he was a doctor. He'll be back. And they let Schwartz and Fisher go, but they just got Orlando Brown. Okay. So Cosme actually is like insurance. And if he plays well in camp, they might plug him in at guard. Okay. But they still got a little weakness there because the guy Remmers is still on the team. This guy will probably outplay Remmers, but it's Kansas City. Who cares? Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I had them taking one of my brother's favorite players, Rondale Moore. But guess what? They don't have to take Rondale Moore because they just signed Antonio Brown to a one-year deal. So their wide receiver core is set. They go defense. I'm sorry, they go O-line. Elijah Vera Tucker from USC, who is listed as an offensive lineman, meaning he can play guard and tackle. You plug him in, you keep your running game going, you keep Brady clean. The wide receiver core is set. Oh my goodness gracious. Tampa Bay. Now, I will say this about Tampa Bay. They might take a running back. There may be a running back taken in the first round, at pick number 32, the last pick in the draft.
There will probably be running backs.
Yes.
Because there's going to be running backs in the second round.
Oh, all the top running backs are going to go in the second round. Trust me.
So yeah, they could possibly take a running back, no doubt about it.
Yes.
And
so there it is, 3.0. I'm done. That's it. It's over.
All right. So next week we'll grade this mock draft along with some of the other other professionals who are putting out mock drafts, and we'll see how the Dickerson brothers.
Mel Kiper, we're coming for you, Mel. We're coming for you, Kiper. I don't have perfect hair like Mel Kiper, but I can outdraft him.
All right, we shall see. We shall see. So that's next week on Ben and Barry on Football. I remind you to click the subscribe button and the notifications bell so that you don't miss a show. Next week, we will look back on tomorrow's draft. We will grade the mock drafts. We'll talk a little bit about who did what and what the next step is, because it's not over yet. First of all, there's going to be some surprises, no doubt about it, in the draft. I'm looking forward for the surprises. And then you have some other free agents who expect to be picked up after the draft, like Richard Sherman, for example, who expects
also one Julio Jones.
So there's still some things that'll happen after the draft that are more dependent on what happens in the draft. We already had one person who was supposed to be at the location who came up positive on a COVID-19 test. So he won't be able to actually be there in person. And again, the NFL protocols for COVID are pretty strong. So, they do a pretty good job with all of that. All right, Benny, you got it. Final words.
Final words. You know what my final words are. Go Noles.